Morning. How are you doing? Covered the grey roots, can you tell? Parting's still really significantly wider than it once was, but there you go. How are you doing? Oh God, I nearly fell over them. So something that's just been coming up and I thought might be a really helpful little tip to share with you is around setting boundaries. So came up a lot last week in the micromind actually, and it's come up again this morning with a one-to-one client, and they'd had an exchange with a friend and they really wanted to set a boundary in terms of what was acceptable. This kind of behaviour was coming up and again for them, and they were feeling like, I actually am not really fucking enjoying this a great deal, and it doesn't feel like there's a balanced and reciprocal friendship going on here. Now, what I first of all said was, the other person might be feeling exactly the same way and you're both correct. You both get to be right about how you feel. How you feel is how you feel. But ultimately, you are not in charge of other people's feelings and you're not there to manage them. However, what is often coming up for people when they start to feel like, I can't say no, I can't set a boundary in these circumstances, is a pattern or a historical experience coded in your nervous system around what it means either to say no and what the reaction is going to be, or when somebody else's emotions are, let's just make a sweeping statement and say, spiraling out of control, and your responsibility to do something about it. So when you're setting a boundary with someone, all you're doing is simply stating in a clear and kind way what you're available for and what you're not available for, what's okay and what's not okay. You're basically making clear what the sort of separation is between you and them. Because we can't hold everybody to the same standards as us, and also people can't read minds. So when you, in this process actually, you have an opportunity to reduce misunderstandings. Clear is kind. Also add that. Clear is kind. And I want you to just notice when kindness in stating a boundary is leaking into fawning, because that's a little clue as to whether the difficulty around stating the boundary is about managing other people's emotions or being afraid of the consequences of saying no. What I mean by fawning is managing, literally trying to manage the situation because you feel unsafe. So you're actually managing their emotions. If this has been something that's been a feature in your life, and especially earlier in your life, managing the emotions of, I'm climbing over literally fallen trees here, look. Managing the emotions maybe of toxic caregivers, a volatile situation when you were younger, that's what's being activated. Or if you have experienced extreme consequences, or what feel like extreme consequences of saying no, then that's what's being activated. So when you approach it, setting this boundary, what you're available for, what you're not available for, being clear and kind to avoid misunderstandings, and making sure that kind isn't creeping into fawning and trying to manage someone else's emotions and expectations. I want you to remember this. The thing that's being activated in you is just like one of those things in the filing cabinet. That's not true and now. That's not the situation now, but that's what feels true. I want you to set that boundary from a place of safety and I'm an adult. I don't need to manage other people's emotions. I'm allowed to say no to things and everything's still going to be okay. If in doing that, the person receiving it boots off or has some sort of existential crisis, that is on them. That's their reaction. You haven't caused that. They can choose to receive it any fucking way, like a million different ways. That is them. And this is this separation piece. It's like, I am responsible for my feelings and you're responsible for yours. And as long as everyone knows like where that end and start point between us, you know, each of us is, then we get to move through it in a much more emotionally intelligent way. And if it's like a written thing, I mean, I always think it's best to set boundaries like face to face or voice to voice at least, because so much can be misinterpreted in like written form or text. You can't get, you know, the intonation and so on. But when you do that, let's say you dress rehearse it or you write it, when you look back at it, just ask yourself, who's speaking here? Is this the voice of a clear, kind, like grounded adult version of me? Or is this the voice of someone who's previously had an experience where saying no has felt unsafe, or it's felt safer to manage other people's emotions? Speak from your adult, like speak from your adult place and speak from your place of safety and clarity and distance from the situation. And it will always come out differently and it will feel different. That's where you get to access like true kindness, true clarity, clear and kind. So I just want to share that this morning. Buddy and I have been in the forest and I'm going to go and catch up with my VA now, who has literally changed my life over these last few months. If you want a VA, get Katie, she's amazing.